Helping agents stay on the cutting edge. Coast to coast.
Welcome to Mobile Agent TV. I am Michael Thorne of Remax Little Oak Realty in Langley, BC. Just before I press the go live, I complimented myself for not making a mistake, and I think my mic was muted for the first 3 seconds of that intro. Life happens. I love that. My co-host, as always, is Dave Bachler from Bridgewater, New Jersey's Remax Preferred Professionals in the Enviro Realty team. Dave, here's my question for you today, and on the other side of this sticky note, I've written my answer, my prediction of what you're going to say to this question. So the question is, Dave, are you a golfer?
Absolutely not. I'm saving that till I get old.
There you go.
No, that's too. Golf is, no offense, Melanie, but golf is way too frustrating. Way too frustrating.
We have our Remax Little Oak Golf Tournament today, right after the show. I'm heading off to the links, and I love golf. And before I had kids, I used to golf regularly and quite enjoyed it. And today's my first round of golf since last year's Remax Little Oak Golf Tournament. So there you go. I don't get to play as much as I used to be able to play, but
I don't play it, but I get approached all the time to sponsor things, sponsor a hole or whatever, and put a little flag up or a little sign, and we do that all the time. But that's the extent of it.
Okay, perfect. On today's during the show, you can interact with us live using the hashtag MATVLive. You can also, to send us your questions of today's guest, you can get us on Twitter at Mobile Agent TV, as well as if you are logged in to Google and you're watching it on the blog, you can ask us questions right there in the Q&A feature, and other people can vote up your question and vote it down, and we'll get them asked of today's guest. Just want to make an announcement for the members, our Remaxers. I mean, our audience is big and broader than Remax, but we started our roots of the show within Remax. If you are a Remaxer, we really encourage you to become a member of Remax Play. That's a private Facebook group for Remaxers. We talk everything about video because we've got a special, our second live Remax Play event is taking place on Monday, September the 14th, this Monday. 6 o'clock Pacific in the evening, 9 o'clock Eastern. Our guests are, and he's watching right now, Jeremy Blanton, Tony Joe, and Dominic and Jody Manchese. We're going to be talking about video, real estate video, taking your questions, kind of going deeper. So that's exclusive for members of Remax Play. You can become a Remax player by going to remaxplay.com. Today's guest is the one and only Mr. Pacinelli, Steve Pacinelli, and you can get him on Twitter at Steve Pacinelli, Pacinelli. And as always, we read out our guest's 160 Twitter bio. Steve might have my all-time favorite Twitter bio. Eventually, he's going to have to change it here in the next couple of years. But for the past few years, I've been a professional diaper changer. Can't wait for my promotion to be professional driver to sporting events. Welcome to the show, Steve.
Thank you, Michael. I appreciate you guys having me in here. I'm excited. This is my second time on the show.
Yeah, the last time we had you on the show, Steve, we had you on for like 10 minutes. You were live at Vegas R4 with us, so this is the first time we're going to actually sit down and be able to go a little deeper, so it's great to have you on the show. Now, we did discuss it, I think, very much during the live show. There's a lot of our audience that is very familiar with you and your history within the real estate space. But really quickly, take us through your history in real estate space, because a lot of people might recognize you from various stops along your career.
Sure. So I was actually never a real estate agent. I graduated college, and I instantly got a job out of college with Top Producer, and that was in the year 2000. So I started selling contact management systems to real estate agents at 22 years old. So I was kind of first job out of college, went right into real estate, and I've always been in real estate related jobs ever since then, from Top Producer to Realtor.com to Move. And when I was with Top Producer, I founded a website with my buddy Chris Smith called Tech Savvy Agent, where we try to provide real estate technology tips. Always had a passion and a love for technology, and because I was in real estate for 8 years, or I guess it would have been about 8 years before that. We just mixed the technology and real estate together on the website, and that did pretty well for quite a while, and I did that for a bit, and then I left Move and came over to left Move and Tech Savvy Agent and everything else. It's a Move-owned company now, and came over to BombBomb. And if you're not familiar with BombBomb, we do video email. I was a BombBomb customer for 4 years before I came over to start working with BombBomb, and now I'm here. Now I'm here on the Mobile Agent TV show.
You've made it all the way to your garage, Steve. Just think that's how far you've come. You are out in your garage. You're
yes,
fine
man.
I hope this isn't the peak of your career, though.
Wouldn't that be sad, Dave? Wouldn't that be sad? So we're going to really dive in. There's a couple ways we come up with shows for Mobile Agent TV. We run into someone super interesting like next week's guest, and Dave will talk to us about next week's guest later on the show. And then you say, you're interesting, we want to have you come on and talk about something. The other way we come up with people on the show is we think about a topic that we think our audience will have value with, email lists, right? And then we say, who would be the perfect match to talk about growing and converting an email list? And so when we had that topic on our to-do list, the first person I thought of, Steve, was you for a number of reasons. Number one, you grew a tremendous engaging list through Tech Savvy Agent. Mm-hmm. I know that because I was on that list, and I saw all the things that you guys did to engage and nurture and build relationships. And then your move over to BombBomb, that's what you're doing over in BombBomb, as well as not only leveraging email lists to build BombBomb, but that's what BombBomb also helps agents do. So you were the ideal guest to come on the show. Now we don't want to talk about CRMs. We're not talking about like nurturing past clients. That's a totally different conversation, different topic. This is, I've acquired an email address from the sources which we'll get into. How do we then just take an email address and maybe a first name, build a relationship, add value, convert into business? That's really the conversation we want to get into. So we chatted for a few seconds before we went on the show, Steve, and your suggestion, and I agree with you, to start the conversation is not to start on how do we grow our list, but to even step back further than that and say, why does a real estate agent want an email list? Yeah.
Well, first let me start off. I'm glad I didn't fall into the super interesting category. You're like, we have two categories. One.
I can't go back and re-record that, Steve. Now that you say that, yeah, that was pretty bad.
No, that was awesome. That was awesome. So yeah, why do you want an email list? Well, let me answer that in a story here, because I've made countless mistakes. Dave just so eloquently reminded me of all the mistakes I just made yesterday, so thank you for that there, Dave, earlier before we hopped on. But I made countless mistakes with my database and with building my database, and my buddy Chris can attest to this one. We started Tech Savvy Agent when social was really big. And we were all about social, and we weren't really worried about email addresses. It was Facebook was just starting to blow up. That's when everybody was talking about it. Everyone was trying to learn how to do Facebook, and during that time, we'd have 10,000 fans. We'd post something, 9,500 of our fans would see that post, and we weren't worried about email at all. Which, hindsight's 20/20. That could have been the dumbest move ever, because one of the reasons why you should be cognizant and be building your email list and aware of what's going on with your email list is because during that time with Tech Savvy Agent, Facebook said, okay, now you got to pay to connect to all your clients. And now we didn't have a reach. Our reach instantly went to almost nothing because we weren't paying attention to our email list. Facebook said, you have to pay this money now to reach your prospects. And we didn't have the money to put out and reach our prospects through Facebook. So to make a really confusing story short here, email is the only platform that you still own. Everyone owns email. If you are going to build a list or a group or interaction with a group of people, you don't want to do it on a platform that someone else owns. Facebook can change the rules at any moment and totally destroy what you've built, because they own it. Twitter, same idea. Instagram, Pinterest, it's all owned by a company that's for profit, that's trying to change the rules to make as much money as possible. Even Google on your website, you can even equate it to like your website. You could have great SEO on your website, and then Google makes a change, and now you're not getting that traffic anymore. The only bulletproof vest that you have, the only protection that you have to people changing the game on you is your email list, because no one can change the game on email because it's not owned by anyone. So I don't know if I made that clear. It was probably a terrible explanation.
I think even greater than a physical address, people happen to move time to time. Long term, the email list usually doesn't change. And the other thing, too, I find as far as a bulletproof goes with email is how do you decide if it's Facebook that you're going to invest your time in, Twitter, Instagram? The one thing that I think is universal between people that are 70 years old and people that are 18 years old, whether they're on Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram, they all ultimately have an email address. So I think email also keeps you immune from these segmented social networks that are broken up sometimes because of culture or age. So there hasn't been a time since we've been being completely paperless now for 8-9 years where we've gone into digital signatures where they haven't provided us an email address. It's never like I'm not there.
Yeah.
Someone might not be on Facebook, someone might not be on Instagram or Snapchat, but everyone's going to have an email address.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's a lot of stories out there too. I was actually just reading an article, or actually it was a video post by Derek Hapern, and he was talking about how he sent out a tweet to X amount of people, sent out an email, and the ROI was always greater in email. And you can go and just look it up on the internet, Google it, the ROI of email or email compared to social media. There's still, that email list is still the gold that you want. That's your way to communicate. That's the way that's going to generate you the most dollars. There's a lot of posts out there and studies that show every dollar invested in email gets back X amount of return higher than social media. And I'm not saying all these other places are bad. I'm just saying this is your fallback. This is the hub to all your spokes. Facebook and Twitter, all this is designed to grab email addresses so you can communicate with those people on your terms.
Yeah, I think we forget that since email came out sort of with the internet, my first exposure to the internet was like in 1994 when someone asked me what my email address was, and I was confused of what that statement made. I think that was my first connection. And because it's been around since the get-go, I don't think we see it as a social network, but it certainly is. An email address is the same thing as having an @Twitter handle. It's a way of communicating and engaging someone. We just don't see it as the same way we do see other social networks. So one of the reasons we want to have you on the show, and I'm fairly transparent about, Dave and I have been in the past, that the advantage for us as the host of the show is we get to bring on really smart people to answer the questions we want to ask first, Dave, you and I, and then we'll get to our audience's questions later on. But our team's been generating email addresses lately from advertising dark posts on Facebook that we've been doing for the first time. And our business is really built on repeat and referral business. If you don't come to us and say, hey, Michael, can we interview you and so you can help us sell our home, you probably don't have an opportunity to work with us. But now I've got all these email addresses that I'm generating from this advertising, and my personal thought was, okay, I don't know what to do with these. So and that's almost the advice that you're going to give people is that's almost the wrong thing to do. Here I am generating email addresses without a plan, and that's why Steve comes on the show to help us figure it out. But you need to even go further back than that. Say, why do you want to have an email list? What's the purpose of it? What's the demographic that you're going to acquire? And then what's your plan to do with that before you even look at means of generating those contacts?
Yeah. Well, so that's a big intro there. So yeah, the key is to know what you want to do with your email list and understand who your list is so you know what you want to extract out of that email list. And also to put some time together, if you're going to start building an email list, you want to allot X amount of time each month. It's not something that you just do in your spare time. I made that mistake with Tech Savvy Agent. We had almost 20,000 email addresses, but I didn't have a product I was selling there. I didn't know what I was doing with that list, and it actually became more clear when I moved over to BombBomb, where we said, okay, well, what's our goal of this email list? Because at BombBomb we're trying to gather email addresses too, and we didn't have a clear mission with our newsletters and what we were sending out, and it took a lot of time to figure that out for us. Like, okay, yeah, we have this list, but let's split this list up into our prospects and into our clients, because our prospects and our clients want to hear something totally different. And so you have to have that plan of, okay, like you said, is this an email list of your past clients? What do you send them? Do you send them the same thing that you send your prospects? Well, probably not. And it's figuring out what's valuable to each individual person. But I think before you get to all this, you need to figure out how to start building an email list first and where you go to get these email addresses. Because I think a lot of people just don't know how to properly acquire email addresses or all the places where they can ask for emails.
Yeah.
So Steve, you're not really talking about just email addresses for the sake of having email addresses. You're talking about clients, people that have kind of interacted with you and in essence given you permission to take their email address and have some use for it. Correct?
It's all permission based. I don't recommend emailing. I don't recommend buying lists at all and emailing those people. There's spam rules against that. It should be all permission-based email. You're providing something of value either on your website or through a social campaign or a Facebook post like, hey, get this, and in exchange and in return, you're going to give me your email address. So there always has to be a value exchange there. You have to provide something to get that in return. And so it's thinking about all the places where you could, well, number one, thinking about what value can you provide to what type of prospect? That's where the planning comes in. Are you trying to get buyers? Are you trying to get sellers? What's valuable right now to a buyer or seller? Okay, let's figure that out, and now let's ask for their email address in exchange for that knowledge or that information, and figure out where you want to ask for that information, whether it be through social or your website, or just meeting people in person.
Yeah. Would you agree that the value you provide and the content you send out in your emails really better be pretty good? Because all I know is in my email every day. I mean, and I didn't get permission for 80% of the emails I get. I gave no permission, at least that I'm aware of, for the stuff that I get. So I'm constantly, unsubscribing, which I think probably is a way for them to get your email in some cases. And so it's really important that when you do send stuff, because again, it's lost. Today in your email, it's not like it was 10 years ago. You got an email 5, 6 years ago. It was like, oh, wow, somebody sent me an email. Today, you got to filter through that stuff to find what is valuable and who it is I really want to talk to.
And that's why email marketing today is so different than it was 10 years ago. 10 years ago, when I was selling Top Producer, for example, I'd go into an office and my pitch was, you get someone's email address, you pop them in, and look at this. Here's an action plan. You click a button, and then you walk away, and you can forget about that person. And they're getting emails from you, and now you stay top of mind. And it was set it and forget it, like what's that commercial? Ronco?
Yeah, Ronco. Yeah.
Yeah, the set it and forget it. And that's what I was pitching, and that worked. That worked 10 years ago, but it doesn't work now because people are bombarded with thousands of pieces of digital noise and information that if that's going to be your strategy to get an email address and set it and forget it, there are times where that works, and there's portions of your follow-up, and I think we're getting too far because we didn't get to the acquisition yet, but there's portions of your follow-up that you can automate, and then there's portions that you can't. Because what an email list means to me is business intelligence. You can glean more if you have a list of people and you're sending them newsletters or regular pieces of communication. It's your business intelligence to figure out what your clients want, what they like, what they're reading, what they're watching, if you're sending a video, what they're looking at, who's engaging, when they're engaging, which gives you the information you need to know when to follow up, why to follow up, and with what content you need to follow up with. There is no other place out there that gives you that type of insight, because even on Facebook, they give you a lot of data, but you still don't know who's stalking you. Someone can stalk you on Facebook and you have no idea. Email, you know what's going on, and now you have the control to act on that.
Yeah, and we're really going to get into the tracking, but like you say, we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
So let's go back to what Dave said about acquiring the email address. Personally, I think my email address is worth $10. And so when I go to sign up for a white paper or report, I kind of say, okay, this is an exchange of currency, and I think most people think that way. Yep. You have to provide me something of value, and in exchange for my email address. And so, Dave, when we do get back to first impressions, which is half of your brand is your first impression for you, if you don't provide something of value in exchange for that email, I don't think of you as someone, of the cream of the crop. But if you provide me great value, like we're doing, in my opinion, with our coming soon ad campaigns that are generating our email addresses, we're providing something that you really want in a form that's actually actually very valuable for you, and therefore you have no problem giving me your name, your last name, your cell phone number, and your email address. So in the 2015 world, we need to have an exchange of value, Steve, and therefore that really gets us into the acquisition, which can come in very different ways. In open houses, it could be a buyer guide. Online, it could be a landing page with coming soon. It could be get the value of your property or watch a video about the community. There are so many ways, but it has to be a give and take. You're not going to have anyone just sign up for sign-up purpose.
No. Nope. You did 10 years ago, but not anymore, no.
So you have to determine what that value is, and then that list can be segmented based on that exchange. So if that list is generated about information about a certain community, then that email can go into a different segmented list than just a general buyer's list, because I think ultimately, Steve, and this is where I really want your information, going on, it's always important to cut through the noise by providing that specific information based on that interest of that particular group.
Yeah.
To blanket everybody with the same info, I don't think will ever convert as well as bringing value over and over and over again to a point where you've added so much value, jab, 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 right hook. When you go in and say, I would like to be your agent when you find a home, you know, you have to always be adding value. I don't think you can just give once and then start taking. I don't see that. For sure, it's not BombBomb strategy. Always bringing out videos, adding more. Here's some tips. Here's some hints. So talk about ways that you've seen agents build value in exchange for the email address.
Yeah, and it's a balance though too, because you know, you have to have some type of automation going on because you don't have unlimited time, but at the same time you want to personalize the content too. It all stems down to how you're acquiring it all comes down to how you're acquiring these email addresses. So let's go through that first, you know, the acquisition of the email addresses. Then it's like, okay, now that you have these email addresses, what do you send? How often do you send? When do you follow up? Because the key with, you know, these big lists is as I mentioned before, knowing when to follow up with each individual person based on their actions. And that's where the email lists can become really, really beneficial. But in building that list, you know, first you need to start off with why you want to list, like we said. How much time do you want to take in doing this? Or is your goal to convert more buyers? Okay, well now on your website, what are you going to do to capture more buyers on your website so you can convert them? You mentioned landing pages. Your website, of course, not a landing page, but your general website. But something that we've been doing that I think a lot of your viewers might not know about.
I'm excited about this because I did not know about this before. I mean, I've seen it, but I just didn't realize how easy it would be to implement. So this is great takeaway for everybody right now.
Yeah, so this is something that you can actually jot down. It's not expensive to do, but pop-ups. I know you've seen pop-ups on tons of other websites before, where you're on a website and something pops up on the screen and it says, to get, you know, this and this and that and the other, just give us your email address. Pop-ups are fantastic. They're a fantastic way to, and you talk about interrupting, and it is sort of interruption. Someone's on your website, they're perusing, and then all of a sudden this thing comes up, and they only have one choice, or they have two choices, to either type in their email address or to click out. They can't do anything else unless they type in their email address to get whatever you're offering in that pop-up or click out. And ever since we started doing pop-ups on BombBomb, it's been fantastic. And to your point, Michael, it's relevant to the person that's on that page, because the tool that we're using that I'll go over in a second, we can say, okay, if someone's on this page, give them this pop-up. If someone's on this page and they're there for more than 30 seconds, give them this pop-up. If someone's on this page, so for real estate, let me change the terms here. So if someone's on the home search page of your website, then you can give them a buyer's pop-up or maybe a video of that neighborhood that they're interested in. Would you like to see a video of this neighborhood? Type in your email address here. There's that value exchange that you were talking about. It interrupts them for a second. They either do it or they don't. There's no other choices that they have there. And we're getting thousands of email addresses from our pop-ups.
But thousands of email addresses from someone who willingly typed. Like, here's the thing I think we have to get our head around. That wasn't, people were happy to put in their email address because they got an exchange of value, because the first interaction doesn't want to be this annoyance of this sort of bitter bitterness of it.
Right.
When I go to BombBomb and the pop-up comes up, it's always like, can we give you more information? Can we add more value? Can we give you some takeaways? And I think that is key to laying the foundation of a value relationship that you're providing more information. You're getting 1,000 email addresses from people that are happy to give them to you. I mean, that's the whole point.
So that service that we're using is called, I don't even know if I'm saying it right, but it's called Engagifire, E-N-G-A-G-I Fire, F-I-R-E. There's other services out there that'll do pop-ups for you, like AppSumo. They have a whole suite of products at AppSumo. That's A-P-P-S-U-M-O. And they have pop-ups too. They do a lot of cool things there. But we went with Engagifire because it's a one-time fee of $99.
Seems to be clear, you're talking about tools on the BombBomb site for you guys to acquire clients for the BombBomb product. You're not talking about that's something that you're using for your BombBomb client for real estate video, correct?
I'm having a little bit of trouble hearing you. I'm getting a lot of feedback.
Yeah, Dave, and I got enough of that. Dave's asking, this is something BombBomb is using to acquire clients for BombBomb. This isn't something that you're having your BombBomb clients as part of your suite for BombBomb use. This is actually, BombBomb.com is where Engagifire is happening.
Yes, so it's a separate product that we bought to use on BombBomb that a realtor can buy to use on their own website and say, hey, here are the points on my website where I think I can provide value to the visitor, but I'm not going to give it away. I'm going to ask for something in return, which is their email address.
And so you're saying it's $100 one-time fee. And so, Dave, if you have a search section, Somerset Run, which we talk about all the time on this show, is one of your neighborhoods, and they're there looking in that community page, you pop up a video and you say, to receive a tour of Somerset Run by Dave, give me your email address, and then that could go, and through BombBomb, there's a lot of different services you can be using for your email, but that then would put them in a Somerset Run email list so that down the road they're segmented out from where you captured them. I think the same way as if you're capturing emails at open houses using BombBomb, which is we've switched from Open Home Pro. I just think it's a more customizable program. Then that goes into an open house with that address list, so that down the road, when we have a property similar to that one, not that we do open houses very often, but similar to that one, then we can add value. And I think it's the key after you acquire the email address, Steve, is in the automated segmentation of it, and because we don't want to put a lot of labor into it, so that you can identify the type of consumer so that your value pitch later on can be more meaningful.
So let's expand upon that. Are you still getting a lot of feedback? I hear myself the whole time.
I'm good right now.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'll just keep going.
Yeah.
So let's expand upon that right here. A lot of people probably watching this have an email list already. That maybe they weren't segmenting, like you were saying. So how do you start with this? And one of the easiest things to do is to send out an email, create a newsletter. I almost have to turn this off. It's hard to get myself back to me. So one of the easiest things to do is send out an email newsletter with multiple topics. 2 or 3 different topics. Create it yourself. Don't let some drip campaign do it for you. Don't just sign up for a product and send it out, but create. Let's see. Oh, there we go. I fixed it. Nice. Oh no, now I can't hear you.
I muted myself and I got rid of my microphone. I don't know if that helps. I got rid of my microphone.
All right. Well,
I threw the blue snowballs. Gone. We'll move on.
So sending out a newsletter. So again, a lot of agents send out a newsletter, put 2 or 3 different topics on it, and then look to see what people are clicking on, and that will help you start to segment a list. Because I have a feeling that a lot of agents don't have their list segmented right now. So they don't know who's who. But the key is, like you said, to figure out what people are looking for. And if you're using something like BombBomb or Aweber or any other mass email system, it should be easy for you to send that out and say, okay, these people clicked on the 5 things every buyer must know, and these people clicked on things to do to repair their home to get ready to sell. And then once you know that, then you start breaking it out, and now you know what types of material to send these people in the future. And it's not just about the material. There's a saying in the email world. It's like you want to be a rat. And what does that mean? You want to be relevant, anticipated, and do you know what the last one is?
Targeted.
Close. You know, and that would be a good one too. Actually, it's timely. So relevant, anticipated, and timely. You know, so once you identify these people, it's like, okay, you want to do it on a regular basis, just like you guys do your show on a regular basis. People anticipate that, they get excited for that because you provide valuable content, and it's very similar. So that's a way that an agent can start with an email list that's not segmented. But once they start acquiring these email addresses, whether you're doing pop-ups from Engagify or AppSumo, or you're getting email addresses from open houses, you know, you can start segmenting them right off the bat.
And sort of, I think it might be my microphone, so I'll keep muting myself in between. One of the things I think, and Steve, tell me if I'm right or if I'm wrong, especially back in your days of Top Producer, I was a Top Producer client way, way back in the day, and their automated drip campaign emails were perfect. I mean, perfect. And you know, one of the things I'm finding, and it's almost counterintuitive, especially with email video, especially with my follow-ups and my mass sends, I try to make my mass follow-up drip campaign sends appear much more like an off-the-cuff one-to-one email than I had in years past. In fact, when we had Chris Spiker on the show, who is as a systematic guy in our industry as there is, he's all about systems. One thing he was very, very clear about is that his past clients, who he nurtures extremely well, get emails that are like a sentence and a half long, not these long, perfectly punctuated paragraph emails, just, hey Tom, thinking about you, hope you and the kids are well, talk to you soon, type of an email. Even in the automated fashion, are we in a place in 2015 where we've seen so many drip campaigns, so many insert name here, so much that we're immune to that, and should we be more conscious, even in our mass sends through BombBomb Video, to have a lot more iPhone than polished green screen at the impact that it makes much more of a personal connection than that perfect script from Top Producer in 1998?
Well, you hit the nail on the head. There's an authenticity, shiny. You know, there's a shininess and authenticity inversion, right? If someone gets an email and it's got a lot of graphics and it looks beautiful and there's a heading up top and there's beautiful buttons down below, they instantly say this is automated. People have radar, right? They can look at an email and see within a split second whether or not it was sent specifically just to them or was sent to a bunch of people. And most people are busy, so when they look at that email, even if they're interested in the content, oh, I'm busy now, I'll get back to that later. But when you receive an email that's a plain white screen where there's a single sentence and your name is in it, and there's not a huge signature line underneath, and it just says Steve or Michael or Dave, then that radar doesn't go off to that person. They're not saying, oh, this was an automated email. And it's a great point, and a lot of people are moving there. They're sending out a newsletter every once in a while, something that's a little bit more polished and professional. Then they're following up with that with a single question or two sentences with just a name on the bottom. I've even seen, I wrote a post on Tech Savvy Agent, this was years ago, where agents are putting sent from my iPhone, fibbing a little bit, but sent from my iPhone on the bottom. And so when that goes out, you know, you get that and you're like, oh, sent from my iPhone. Oh, that person was thinking of me. I feel obligated to respond back to them. So yeah, it's a great strategy. I type my emails that way.
Good. Yeah, no, and we're seeing that too. I mean, our one-on-one BombBomb videos always get a lot more interaction than our polished videos, just under the impression that was filmed for them. And there's a lot of ways to be creative about that. Now, one of the things that you guys have both...
Yeah. Can I just add one more thing to that topic?
Sure.
So there's companies out there. We use a company called Conversica, Conversica. Now, I don't think most realtors can use this, so I'll only spend a couple seconds on it. But this really dives into that dynamic that you were just describing. It's a service that speaks to your customers in natural language and communicates with them. So it's a drip campaign that will go out, but it's only text, and it comes from a person, and it'll have the person's name. You make up a persona of a person, and these emails will go out, and it will say, come from us from BombBomb. It'll say, hey, Michael, have you thought about, BombBomb recently, or we saw that you were interested. You checked out one of our videos. If you have any questions, reach out and let us know. But it looks like a single person wrote, or one person wrote that. And if the person responds back, the system reads their response, interprets that, and decides whether or not to send it to a salesperson. But the key is all of the drip emails, they're all 1 or 2 or 3 sentences that looks like it's coming from a real. So there's a company built around that concept, and I think you're going to see more and more companies. And Conversica is not cheap, so I don't think it's good for an individual real estate agent, but it's going to become less and less expensive, and we're going to see this technology trickle down into real estate. And I guarantee you, in a year or two, you're going to see that type of technology, this smart communication for realtors that you'll be able to get for $50 or $100 a month or something.
Fantastic. So Dave, go ahead. I
was on a website a few weeks ago, just looking at a competitor's website, and I clicked on a property, and a pop-up comes up on the side, and right to what you just said, and it said, "Hi, this is Jack. I was in that house last week. Do you want a little more information about it?" I was like blown away. I went like, "Whoa, look at this! I'm talking to the listing agent." And it was, and as it was, it really wasn't. But I had a little conversation going in a chat box with a computer, and I was totally fooled for the longest time until I finally went like, oh! And I looked at the name on the bottom of, the name of the company, and I looked it up, and I went like, wow, exactly what you're talking about. I was so
artificial intelligence.
I was engaged.
On that note, it's something that, Steve, you've said, and I know the feedback's coming and going. I apologize, guys. Thanks for the feedback, but I'll continue to mute myself. Must be something on my end. You've said a lot of things about the noise in the inbox, and you've also talked about tracking. What I have found in the last 5 years, I'm a Gmail guy, so I've got different email addresses out there for our websites, .coms, mobileagenttv.com, but it all comes filtered through Gmail. It all comes filtered. I find I get very, very little spam. I find that in my spam folder there's very, very little unmarked or mismarked spam. And then now through Gmail and through BombBomb, but through Gmail, the tracking, it changes things instantly, especially when I send out an email to my client and I know whether they've opened it or read it. Now, I'm not talking just BombBomb, I'm talking about email in general.
Yeah.
The analytics of what Dave says all the time, if you can't track it, you don't do it. I think the opportunities in 2015 that we've forgotten about is how good email has got at minimizing the noise and then also tracking our communications and the relationships that we're building to, once again, to your point, Steve, to find out where things are hitting so you know when to be more timely, to follow up, to engage with these people. So I don't know, I think you guys are a big proponent of Gmail, but even if you're somewhere else, talk about the opportunities that lie within the inbox that didn't exist a while ago and should be a reason why people should revisit it as a viable social media option.
Yeah, well, because email is, people say email's dead and, it's too noisy. If someone does open your email and they engage with you, that's hot. That's someone that you want to get on. And having that, and Tom Ferry says this all the time, it's about modality. He uses that terminology. It's modality. If someone is reading an email from you, the best time to contact them is right now. If they're reading it right now, if you reach out again with a second email or maybe a phone call or a text while they're doing that, you have the best chance of them responding to you. So all of these different tools that we have, whether you're using BombBomb or you have a Gmail tool in there that's giving you opens and clicks, and of course with BombBomb you get plays, so you know if they're watching your videos and how they're interacting. That gives you the right modality to when and if to follow up with your clients. If they didn't open your content, that's just another opportunity for you to figure out, so we were talking about segmenting people out that clicked on the buyer topics, segmenting people out that clicked on the seller topics, but also segmenting the people out that didn't click too. So you can be more creative in your future sends to see what makes them tick and what makes them click. What do they want? What are they looking for? And get more creative with your sends. So it's not just who's doing what, it's who's not doing it as well. And maybe you reach out to those people. If people are interacting with your stuff, that's a great time to use BombBomb for video email or to pick up the phone. Just pick up the phone the old-fashioned way and give them a call.
Well, and that's clear in everything that we do. There's no magic bullet. It's always a recipe of different ingredients that makes up a great service. But I think it's hard pressed to say that there isn't a time through a transaction that we're not communicating some form in email. But you're right. To take the email, to follow up with a phone call, to follow up with somewhere else, it is this sort of mixture. And you can sort of tag email along with your other campaigns too as well, so that when your campaigns go out, you're generating information from those campaigns. But tracking is such an important thing. But when there's opt-in, and it talks back to what Dave was talking about too as well, I know for sure with BombBomb, and it's necessary for all Canadians. I don't know what the laws are in the States, but we have something in Canada called CASL, the Canadian Anti-Spam Law. Mm-hmm. And now all my forms that I have give me permission to communicate with them for the rest of their lives automatically. That's in the service of signing up. And I think it's an important thing to know that you're always giving the option of unsubscribing. But in today's world, they're opting in. They're acknowledging the fact that you have now the right to communicate with them. And we're finding that the CASL legislation that happened in Canada certainly have a lot more teeth in them than other ones. Does that similar concern exist in the States? And is that something that agents should make sure that they have something in place to make sure that they're acquiring these names properly?
Yeah, so here's an interesting dynamic, and that's a really good question. Because and this just isn't for BombBomb. I'm going to describe it in the context of BombBomb, but this is for everyone. In BombBomb, there's a double opt-in, and we were just talking about this on the company level here. Why would someone want to double opt-in, and what does double opt-in mean? And most email programs, any email program that you're going to use is going to have a double opt-in. What's the advantage? And what a double opt-in is, if you don't know, is someone signs up for something on your website or anywhere for that matter. They give you their email address. So there's an opt-in because they gave you your email address, but now they get a second email that comes into their inbox and says, are you really sure? Are you the right person? Do you want to receive this? And they have to hit yes again. And you're probably thinking, and the same thing that I was thinking when we introduced this, into BombBomb, is like, why in the world would you want to do that? What, it makes it harder for people to get your information. That just doesn't even sound right. It's not required in the States. You don't have to do it. But companies track whether or not people are opening, your emails. Google tracks whether or not they're opening your emails. And if you're emailing someone, they never open it, it's never going to make it to their inbox in the first place. And by having that double opt-in, that tells that company this person double opted in, and they're more likely to receive your message if you get them to do that important step. So we're beginning to change our marketing into double opt-in because it's not just for our sake, it's for deliverability's sake, and that's important. Did that answer your question or mine? Yeah.
Yeah, you did. I'm continually muting myself. No, that's, what? I never even thought about that. That's letting Gmail know, or whatever service you have, saying this is an engaging email address, so make sure that this information gets through. Now with Gmail with a promotions folder or whatnot, never thought about that, but that really clarifies the people that generally do want to get your information. It's like asking a buyer, Dave, to come and do a consultation at the office before you take them out to show them. If they're not willing to, it's a really great way of fitting the herd right away. And if they don't really want your information, you're going to spend a lot of energy down the road trying to convert somebody that clearly is demonstrating the fact that they don't want to engage as much as they thought. They just wanted the ebook, and now they've moved on. So that's very, very interesting as a way of verifying that they're actually a hot lead or someone that's of value.
Yeah, absolutely. My buddy Ethan has a phrase that he always says that I really enjoy. He says, you're always teaching, when you email someone, you're always teaching them whether or not they should open your next email. And it doesn't really tie into that topic, that much, what we just talked about. But I think it's relevant because that's the first, they opt in, they say, yes, I definitely want your stuff. Now you begin sending them emails. You can't start sending them junk, or else they're going to lose that score that they opted in, they have this high score, Gmail's going to deliver all the emails to them, but you can't start sending them junk after that, because if they don't open up the next one, they don't open up the next one, they don't open up the next one. Now they learn not to open your emails, they're just going to pop off of your list anyway.
Steve, can you put that in the context of BombBomb? Does BombBomb, us as BombBomb clients now, I put an email in there, I go to send something out. Does that double opt-in come into play in BombBomb now? Didn't before? I mean,
Yeah, you can choose. So there's two ways that comes into play. One way is when you use a BombBomb landing page or a form, you can choose the double opt-in. You'll see that option down there. Or the other thing that you can do is email all of your sphere, your email list, and it'll say something to the effect of, "Hey, I'm making sure that you still want to receive these emails. Do this, and we'll keep you on the list." Now, that's a little bit risky, that second one, right? It's if someone doesn't open the email, now you're stuck. So that one's a little rougher.
Steve, in the context of our coming soon campaigns that have been phenomenal for us through BombBomb, it's phenomenal at generating emails. I could have them fill out the form, and then the email goes out to them and say, "Click here to receive the deliverable."
Yeah.
They're going to click it because they want the deliverable, and now I've set that email address up in the eyes of not necessarily BombBomb, but the receiving program to say that's an engaging email address.
Yep. It's important.
Yeah, no, absolutely, it's important. That's something, when you think about how these things opt out. Now, BombBomb, interestingly enough, and I like looking at it, has implemented in the back end, Dave, and all the BombBomb clients will know, they have a happy face score. They have a face score that lets you know really how engaging the people on your list are. And I can tell you the top fans of Mobile Agent TV that every week religiously open up the email, every week religiously watch the video. They have a very different score than the person that just opens the email, doesn't engage with the video, or doesn't open up the email, and it's green face, orange face, yellow face, red face, or whatever it is with sort of frownies. And that is just a visual way to go, okay, every single time I send out a market update to these buyers in this neighborhood, Tom and Judy and Bob always read my content. They're obviously watching my videos. They know who we are. Maybe a one-on-one video. Hey, you're always looking at my... Now, here's a thing that's creepy, Steve. There was a conversation on Facebook about the value of BombBomb. There was a guy there named Matt. I sent him out a one-to-one BombBomb to show him the power of the email. He opened it right away. He watched the video, and now I know that for the last 24 hours, he's opened up and watched that video numerous times.
Yeah.
Do you think in 2015 the consumer, if you said, "Hey, you're getting our regular monthly updates. I see that you read them every week. Do you want to grab a cup of coffee?" Is that a creepy way, or we just acknowledge that our communication in all forms is being tracked?
Yeah, I think we're at that weird tipping point. It's another good question, because a lot of people know that all emails are being tracked, but a lot of people still don't know. And it could be creepy, like you said, to reach out. Hey, I see you're engaging, with the emails. And I do this a lot too. Like you overthink things. If you notice that they are interacting with your content and they're reading all your emails or they're watching all of your videos, just reach out with a single sentence. Hey, I was just thinking about you and was wondering if there's any way that I could help you. And something as simple as that, where you don't have to acknowledge why you were thinking about them. Just do it at the right time because you have that information that you need. And I think we try to overcomplicate things sometimes. Just reaching out and a sentence or two, in a video or typed out on an email can work wonders.
Here we are. Everyone, Jeremy and I know Melanie's asking questions too. Let me know if the feedback's gone, if this mutant thing is working.
Well, Michael, if you get a headset, that's what it's from.
Yeah, I didn't bring mine today. Okay. I don't know why. I was thinking about my golf game. Dave, so are you guys generating emails from your Zillow and Trillo ads and other things that you follow up with them once and they go, or do you guys have, because that's the way we are, honestly. We've never thought about taking this, or we've never gone out and purposely generated emails before. But now, with the ease in which you can do it, with the trackability, it'd be crazy not to. And then I think one of the things we can do, Dave, as Remaxers, is take those email addresses and throw them into Main Street so that any interaction on Remax.com down the road or Remax.ca, we get tagged as their agent. I think you can do that. But Dave, are you generating emails, and is it just like me? You kind of communicate with them and then let them go, and perhaps that's a opportunity to add another member to the team, which we probably will do just for that purpose to follow up on those leads.
We're actually when we get Zillow email or any kind of email, or even our Reliance ones from our Remax site, I put them in depending on whether they inquired about. I have them on a drip campaign, a video drip campaign in BombBomb. I learned that in the Convert program. Series of videos. You inquired about the value of your home. Boom, 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 and they get these series of videos. And they've given us permission to do it. So we kind of take everything, put it into some kind of thing in BombBomb on a drip campaign if we can. And consequently, your point, Michael, it's really a great idea to take everything, put it in your Reliance site as well, so that you can capture them if they ever go back there 5, 6 years from now, 2 years from now, they're your client.
And this is also part of the planning. You know, if you're going to invest money in Zillow and Trulia leads, and you know that these are buyers, so you already know who they are, think ahead. Okay, if a buyer's not ready to transact today and they're 6 months out, what type of information do they need over the next 6 months, or a year? And take the things that you know that buyers are going to ask you questions about at some point, and put that into a drip campaign and see when they're interacting with it. Maybe they don't interact with anything for a while, but then they interact with the mortgage information and rates and things like that. Now, again, you know when to reach out, but it's establishing that campaign ahead of time, mixing in the automation with what Dave just said right there, but also the times to follow up with a personal message, whether it be a 15-second video or a 1-sentence surprise email.
Yeah, and so great advice, Steve. One more question before we let you go. I was watching a Periscope that, as you say, your buddy Chris Smith was doing, and he was talking. He's getting ready to write his new book, or he's in the midst of writing his new book.
Conversion code.
Conversion code is going to be fantastic. And he was showing a graph about the percentage of converting a lead into business based on response time. And back in 1998, as long as you got back within a day or so, there was no difference. And the first 3 points on the graph were 1 minute, 2 minutes, and 3 minutes. Like that's where we are. We're not first hour, second hour. Minute 1, minute 2, minute 3. Now, unless you have an ISA, an inside sales agent, who's just sitting there waiting for that lead to come in and communicate, the vast majority of agents watching the show and around North America do not have the manpower to sit there and watch leads come in. That being said, through automation, through autoresponders, it might not be as good as an actual human being picking up the phone, but Dave and I are out showing properties. We can't let minute 1 and minute 2 and minute 3 go by. But is there a way through the power of autoresponders that we can communicate either honestly with them saying, hey, I'm away right now, thank you so much for your email, I'm going to follow up with you, or in a way that comes off pseudo-authentic or pseudo-off-the-cuff? In today's technology, we can leverage communication through the power of autoresponder, be it through BombBomb or other programs. What's the value of making sure, Steve, that we're communicating instantly or fairly instantly with some type of communication and having that automated so we can go and spend time with our family and sell real estate?
Yeah, it's extremely important. And here's the shameless plug for BombBomb. But if you have an auto response going out from BombBomb, maybe you have something like 5 Street, which is a lead distribution system linked into BombBomb, and a video automatically goes out 2 minutes after the lead comes in. The person gets to see you and they get to hear you, and how quickly you follow up, as Chris noted or is going to note and everyone knows, is extremely important. And if you personalize that enough, if you know where your leads are coming from, and a lead's coming from Realtor.com, and if you say, hey, thanks so much for visiting Realtor.com, I'm going to look up the information on that property in a moment, I'm in a meeting right now, and you record that video, they can't tell, because you mentioned Realtor.com and they were on Realtor.com, it connected a couple dots there for them in their mind, and you're in a meeting right now, which creates a sense of time. most people won't figure out that that's an automatic reply. You know, it's going out, it's going at the right time as soon as that lead comes in, but you didn't do that at all. That was a pre-recorded video. So you can use technology to trick people. In general, when an email goes out, people automatically assume that it's a robot for the most part, unless you're extremely articulate, like we were talking about. You know, one sentence, two sentences, very direct. You know, that's the way to trick someone. But yeah, lead response is paramount.
I mean, almost to an interesting point. Sorry, Dave. Almost to an interesting point. If you film that right outside your closing room door at your office, I mean, I'm serious. With your hand on the handle, saying, "Thank you so much. I know I'm just in a meeting right now." I mean, really, even canned, the fact that you stepped out in the hallway and you were trying to give them service, I think that works. I think that has an opportunity. Where as long as you can't see the weather outside, and you're inside and you're wearing a weather-specific shirt, you're not in your sandals and shorts in the middle of winter, I think that's an opportunity to at least because look, no one else is going to follow up with them in the first minute. No, you know, in today's world, so at least you're way ahead of the game, and then you can follow up more sincere later on. Dave, you wanted to say something on that.
Well, yeah, I mean, Zillow, like I don't want to plug Zillow, but Zillow now is offering to some of its premier agents the ability for somebody sitting in Zillow to pick up the phone and answer the leads and try to nurture the leads a little bit before they give them to you. So, I mean, to that very point, as well as I saw a little survey done. I don't know whether it was Lee Street. It was maybe Lab Coat Agent. Somebody put up a thing about a little survey to say if somebody was to invent a real estate company that was just a bunch of licensed agents sitting in a room answering leads immediately, doing that very thing, and then passing them on to you, would that be something you'd be interested in? So what Steve's talking about is very pertinent, and there's people out there getting ready to take care of that. BombBomb, for me, I mean, they have a big long list of the things, the API codes from Zillow. Immediately, I get a Zillow lead, it goes right into the drip campaign in 1 minute. Vanessa's talking to them on a little thing, and we have a little series. Not to put anybody on the spot here, but the Reliance sites don't have that. Steve, we've been trying to get some people to kind of connect that and get that done. I don't know what the challenge is, but I would love for the leads that come into my Reliance site, all the Remax sites, to be able to set it up so it automatically goes, and I can do a BombBomb drip campaign. So, you know, here we are. We're public. We can get that done. Maybe you can whisper in somebody's ear over there.
I'd love that. We have someone ready to do the integrations now. Rebecca does a fantastic job for us. She's one of our newer employees at BombBomb, and she's in charge of getting these integrations done, and she's tenacious, and hopefully we have
Rebecca, I'm thinking about, isn't Rebecca a former Remaxer, right?
She is.
Well, there we go.
So she's got the connections to make this happen. Hi, Rebecca. Thank you very much. No, but on that note, Steve, so people, and hey, you've given us an hour of your time. You've been jabbing with value for the last hour for our audience. I'm a huge fan of what you're about to right hook with anyway. But I'd be crazy. Everyone knows, if you ever see me have someone talk about BombBomb in a Facebook group or whatever, we don't get, Dave and I have never got a dime. I am telling you, I don't see any other value as dramatic in my business as a product. I think video in general has value. But as a product, there's no product in our business, bar none. Maybe DocuSign, BombBomb. But those are the two, and there's no one in third place, in my opinion. BombBomb has so much value. And so talk about just tell us how people can sign up for a free trial. And if there's anyone watching today, tomorrow, a month from now, that wants to see what a one-to-one BombBomb is, find me on Facebook, send me a tweet, call me, and I'll fire you off one instantly, because I think that's the sort of nugget. Now it's landing pages and drip campaigns and autoresponders and all this sort of stuff. But when you can see the way it makes you feel, it will change. Steve, first of all, run down quickly off the top of your head the list of other services agents use that connect CRMs. Everything's with BombBomb, and then just let people know how they can take their 14-day free trial, and it will instantly change how they feel about it. And then Dave, you can give your 3-sentence testimonial on BombBomb, because I know you feel the exact same way I do.
So as I said, Rebecca's working on a ton of different integrations. We're compatible with Top Producer and Contactually and Wise Agent, and we're compatible. The biggest one that we're compatible with is Gmail. I mean, it works seamlessly. It's my favorite functionality with BombBomb. Salesforce we just added on. We're looking to do Outlook, and we're working on that right now. But in general, BombBomb comes down to this: everyone has met someone before in real life, where you met them and in a split second you knew that you liked that person, even before you had a conversation with them. Just something, you knew it, you liked it, something in you said, hey, that person's cool. But no one has met a person for the first time ever and never talked to them before, didn't know who they were, but met them over email. No one has read their email and said, oh, I love that person, because you're not going to like text on the screen. That's who you become. You become your email signature, text on the screen. BombBomb's goal is to humanize it. We get you face-to-face. Humanize yourself. We get you face-to-face with more people more often and allow you to record videos faster than any other platform out there. But here's the important part, like you were saying, Michael, and that is to measure the success. What's happening with these videos? Who's interacting with these videos? When should you follow up? Notifications, push notifications, and that's the key. So that's a BombBomb in a nutshell. We have a 14-day free trial. You can go out there, you can sign up. You don't have to type in a credit card. Don't type in a credit card. You just try it out. Start sending. If you have a Gmail account, download the Gmail add-on. It's ridiculously good. And start sending out video emails and see how you can convert more leads and follow up with your database and your email list, where you're actually going to get a response from these people because you're asking them in person.
I agree. Dave, Vanessa's there too. I think Vanessa just walked in the room. I mean, for people that don't get it, what is it that's the holdback for people to at least do the 14-day trial?
What Steve said. That's a lot. For me, it is the biggest ROI in our business. And I'll tell you, my little story is Zillow. We were Zillow Premier agents getting tons of leads. We didn't get a lot of engagement, hardly at all. The minute we took the Convert program, started putting a drip campaign together, they started seeing our face 4 and 5 a day, where we were getting nothing before. No engagement, very hard. Really had to work. You can get a phone numbers, you're trying to email people, you're just trying to engage them, they want to see your listing, whatever. The minute we started doing the BombBomb email, it turned things totally around. Totally around. So,
thanks, Dave.
Look, if you're one of the people like I was, social media, it's dehumanizes. We don't get to touch people. We don't get to shake their hand anymore. We don't get to see our clients. Like years and years ago in real estate, you saw your clients and you had a 2-minute phone call and you met your clients, and that's how you develop relationships. Social media has changed some of that a little bit, all right? But this brings it right back, face to face, get to know people.
My 2 cents, you have to force yourself to do it,
and
then it'll get easier.
And force yourself to do it, it'll get easier. Because everybody's afraid. Really push it, and you get results, and you'll make a lot of money.
Listen, you're not going to understand you like sushi until you try it. I mean, that's really what this is. Once you send out a few emails, and you start seeing the reaction, I mean, it's like nothing else. It's instant to me. I mean, it might be for you. And here, Steve, just to interject too as well. BombBomb is super powerful because of the video. However, you are able to send emails within BombBomb without every single one of them having a video that's accompanying to them. You can use it the same way you would a MailChimp, or still have all the trackability, have all that stuff in it. I think the video is so powerful that that's the assumption. But if you just want to fire off an email, firing it through BombBomb still has value too as well for all the other features that exist within. Steve, how do people get a hold of you? How do people get a hold of BombBomb.com if they've got any questions?
BombBomb.com, Steve at BombBomb.com, at Steve Pacinelli, which I'll spell that one, Pacinelli. That's my Twitter handle.
Steve even hesitates on the spelling of his last name. He had to think that one through.
Yeah, so that's how. Reach out. We're an awesome bunch of people. We want to help you. We want to show you how video is a great way to communicate, just like you guys are watching it right now on video. So
absolutely. And Steve, you're around at almost every major convention. If you are and you've got questions, wherever you're going, go ahead and see. Steve, did you know BombBomb's coming up in October to the Remax Canadian Conference in Victoria?
I can check in 2 seconds. I think so.
I know you guys are out to CAR in October too as well, the beginning of October, California.
Yep, we're there for sure.
All that too as well, so I appreciate it. Dave, at next week's show, Dave, takeaway, your takeaway.
What Steve said.
I love this.
Actually, this whole subject of the show, we're kind of been doing that all along, and didn't really connect, that we were doing this. And lots of great thing here about building value. The pop-ups part for me, I'm going to look into that. That's pretty, because it's been done to me in a lot of different websites. Never thought to be able to try to do that. Somebody searching on my own website. So that pop-up thing, build email, and BombBomb's the bomb.
And by the way, the new logo, and I've mentioned it, is absolutely phenomenal. I love the branding. Yes. But that's my takeaway too, Dave, is the pop-ups. What it does is it forces a decision. It's one or the other, left lane or right lane. But to be able to have those pop-ups to be customized to the content that they're currently engaged with on your website, once again, cutting through the noise, adding value is phenomenal, and then adding those go into the list. But Dave, next week's show.
Next week's show, we're going to have a guy right from here in New Jersey, Super Mike Minervini. He's actually he's always in the top 50 here in New Jersey. He has a little bit of a team down in Monmouth County. I've known him for a long time, but the other day, maybe a week or two ago, I was at a little recruiting video thing down at the regional office, and I was there with Mike and several other agents, and he started revealing things to me that I really was not aware of. He's a when you see him on the show, he's a super, energetic guy, and he's going, and I go, man, you're going to burn out sometimes. And he started explaining to me the balance in his life, how he puts his phone away, how he takes off certain days of the week, and you can't even talk to him about real estate, and he doesn't text, and he's very controlled. And I think we're going to find him extremely interesting to talk mainly. He'll talk about a lot of different things in building his team and how he does those things, but the most interesting part is the balance in his life and how he's able to maintain a level of production and still have a really have a powerful life.
Fantastic. We're really looking forward to that. So that is Friday, September 18th with Super Mike at 10 o'clock Pacific, 1 o'clock Eastern here at mobileagenttv.com. If you have any referrals going out to the East Coast of the United States, get a hold of Dave. He'll put you in the hands of the right Remax agent. Any referrals coming out to the West Coast of Canada, get a hold of me, and I'll put you in the hands of the right Remax agent. And as Melanie Gallia of Remax Fort McMurray wants us to end every show, please tell 5 other agents, Remax agents, any agents, about Mobile Agent TV. It's the reason why we grow and why Dave and I want to do this, is to bring value to our audience all the time. It allows us to reach out to amazing guests like Steve Pacinelli, who will give us an hour of his time, which is so which we really appreciate it, Steve. Thank you so much, Steve, for coming on the show. You're an awesome guy. You're an amazing fit with BombBomb, and we really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Steve. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you all next week.